Good evening and welcome to our midweek service. Please stand with me, grab your hymnals, and turn to hymn number 410. Hymn number 410. Faith is the victory. Sing out with me tonight. Encamped along the hills, the mighty Christian soldiers rise, and bless the battle in the night, shall veil the glowing skies. Against the going bells we look, and all our strength we pour. Faith is the victory we know, and overcomes the world. Faith is the victory, faith is the victory, oh glorious victory that overcomes the world. His banner over us is love, our sword, the word of God. We trample over the saints above, with shouts of triumph drawn. By faith we light the world with friends of love for every fear. The faith by which they conquer death is still our shining shield. Faith is the victory, faith is the victory, oh glorious victory that overcomes the world. To them that overcomes the foe, by great shall begin. Before the angels he shall know, his name confessed in heaven. Then onward from the hills of light, our hearts with love aflame, will vanquish all the hosts of night. In Jesus' conquering name, faith is the victory, faith is the victory, oh glorious victory that overcomes the world. Amen. Amen.
All right, let's go ahead and pray. Lord, we love you. Thank you so much for the day, and I just thank you for tonight as we have an opportunity to come together and just lift your name up in praise and in prayer. And, Lord, a time when we just look back on a trip that you blessed us to take and our church to be a part of, Lord, in the upcoming trip. I pray you'll bless all of that tonight, Lord, and as we just prepare our hearts, Lord, to meet the need of our mission field, Lord, and the people's in it. So thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to fellowship tonight. I ask you to bless the service. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Turn again in your hymnals to hymn number 355, 355. What a friend we have in Jesus. Hymn number 355. Sorrow shame.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone today. Just a couple of announcements real quick. Our next outreach meeting is going to be this Monday at 6 p.m. If you weren't there the previous time, we're working on a very exciting new project that we're hoping to start in the month of March. So we're going to be talking more about that and planning the logistics of all that. So if you'd love to come and join us for that, that would be great. That's going to be here at the church at 6 p.m. And we do that about every other week or so. So please join us for that if you can. The Secret Sisters have their reveal party this Saturday, the 19th. That starts at 11:30. Just as a reminder, ladies, if you're planning on going, you've been asked to bring along an appetizer. Everything else is going to be provided. There's a baby shower for Samantha Custodian on the 2nd of February. We have a special offering coming up for the church building fund on the 3rd. And then there's going to be a bus worker meeting on the 4th. That's a Monday here at the church at 7 p.m. There will be pizza and pop provided for that. And then I think they're wanting to start doing one of these bus meetings once a quarter about. Just if you're part of the bus ministry, be there for that.
Take your hymnals with me and turn to hymn number 325, hymn number 325. Trust and obey. We'll sing the first, second, fourth, and fifth verse tonight. When we walk with the Lord in the light of His word, what a glory He sheds on our way. While we do His good will, He abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. The shadow can rise, the fire in the skies, but the sun quickly rises away. The cloud or a fear, not a sign or a tear, can abide while we trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. What we never can prove, the light of His love, until all on the altar we lay. For the favor He shows, and the joy He bestows, our friend who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. And fellowship's sweet, we shall sit at His feet, couples walk by His side in the way. For He says we will do, when He says we will go, and we only trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus. this time, we'll have our Wednesday midweek offering. If I can have Pastor Brennan and Dave, Brother Dave. Pastor,
Lord, we pause again. And as, of course, these things will be gathered tonight, along with the other times in which we gather, in your name, for your purpose, we ask that you would bless and strengthen the use of these things. We always call upon you for wisdom. We don't need to rely upon our own wisdom, but to in all ways acknowledge you so that you may direct our paths. Thank you for it in Christ's name.
Wonderful playing. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee. Turn your hymnals to hymn number 183. Hymn number 183. Oh, how I love Jesus. We'll sing all four verses. Hymn number 183. Ladies on the third verse. It tells me on my Father's mind, He sought for every day. And all the shadows are submerged, His sunshine all the way. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because He first loved me. It tells of wondrous loving heart and feel my need.
this world, and when these sorrow bears apart, that love can bear below. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me.
All right, we're going to do things a little different tonight. If you don't have a prayer sheet, make sure you grab one of those on the way out. If you have a prayer request that you need to get in, just make sure text me or Miss Bonnie throughout the week, and we'll get those out to other folks if you'd like those prayed for through the week. I don't want to miss out on those, so please do that. I'm not making light of those prayer requests, but just go ahead and send me a text, and we'll make sure we get those out to the folks if you'd like more prayer for that. But grab a sheet on your way out and make sure you pray for folks throughout the week, please. All right, as I mentioned, just on Sunday, it's kind of a short notice, but hopefully you got the message. That's why you're here tonight, or hopefully there's no one missing tonight. But we have been wanting to do this for a while. We took this trip to Peru July of last year, and we took some pictures out there, and just a few of them we'd like to show tonight and talk through the trip that we had. And then at the end of that, we're going to tell you a little bit more about the trip that's coming up, especially the cost that's going to be associated with that, and then answer any questions you might have. And I'd like to, I'll probably mention this again tonight, maybe even, is at least grab the first round of tickets by the end of the first week of February. And the reason I want to do that is because right now the tickets are running in the mid-300s, and that's a very cheap price right now. I can't remember what we paid last time we went. It might have been close to $600. Do you remember, Brother Chris, how much we paid last time? $700 to go there last time. So, I mean, we're talking half price right now. So that's kind of what I want to go ahead and jump on this. So, Brother Chris, why don't you come on up here? He's got a few things he wants to say, and then we're going to kind of show some videos and some slides that Brother Chad was gracious enough to put together for us, and then we'll kind of talk through that as we're going through it. And then if you have any questions, like I said, at the end, we'll answer those. I want to go through a few verses, just a reminder. And then you want to come up here, brother, or right there? Okay. Well, there's a better one here. Okay. All right. Testing. Blue microphone, Josh. And leave this one on, if you will, as well.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Okay. I just wanted, it was my first missions trip. I'm going to try to be pretty brief here. And Chad put this video together for me. It looks like you're at the end there, not the beginning of it. Well, that is the first. Okay. He switched it up on me. So I try to have it in chronological order somewhat. But what I'm going to do is, instead of trying to talk a whole bunch while this video plays, I'm just going to give you a brief of what you're going to see here. And then as the videos, pictures pop up, I'll just kind of comment and say this is what I was talking about. But it was mine and Alicia's first trip. We went down with Pastor and Kim. And, you know, for maybe a lot of parents and people, your primary concern might be, as mine was, is for my kids' safety. I had Alicia with me and was pretty concerned going to a third world country, and really a lot of unknowns for me. But I will say that talking to Pastor and others that have been on missions trips, especially Honduras, and I think Pastor probably commented a little bit more about that, but I thought of also your Africa trip that sounded like, you know, Peter and when the boat was going down kind of a thing. So, and then those that have talked to you that went to, I know a lot of you went to Ronnie Doss's missions trip, which was probably like an episode of Survivor, it sounds like. So this is not like that. It's you'll be staying in a nice facility, you know, clean, nice rooms, more like almost like a summer camp kind of setting, I guess you would say. Decent bathrooms, and surprisingly, the food was great. I mean, you get treated really well. They have their own cook staff down there, so you're not just kind of eating whatever you can find or however that goes. So honestly, that was probably one of the most surprising parts of the trip. But you land in Lima, which is a city of, I believe it's like 14 million people. So it's a mega city. It's humongous. And you get there. We got there in the middle of the night. And I remember waking up in the morning, and I thought that we took rocket to the moon, not to another country, because it looked like the lunar surface when you look out the window there. It's a very strange environment. Weather's 70 the days, 60 at night. It's just a really different place. So just so you have an idea, it literally does not rain there. There's Wi-Fi there for those that's a concern. If you need to communicate with home, you can communicate through WhatsApp, I believe it is. They also have a phone that you can use so you can stay in contact with your family. The staff there, Mike Kennedy and his family. I don't know if Miss Peggy will still be there. She's kind of like the grandmother of the children's home, and they couldn't be nicer and treat you better. So it really is a nice experience. I remember too being alarmed. You get there, and you're looking at a compound basically with 12-foot walls all the way around it. So I'm like, where are we? In the middle of the night. But actually in the daytime, it's a really nice neighborhood. It's one of the nicer areas of Lima. So, but it's a very secure place. So if, as a parent, you can't make it or something with work, you have an older teen or a young adult, I think you could feel pretty secure. Mike Kennedy does a really good job of supplying a security staff. He literally has a crew of guys that are from the country, and they basically they're watching like Secret Service, I guess, if you will, for lack of a better way to explain it, watching over the group. So it is a safe place to go. And again, I think Pastor can probably talk more in comparison to the other places he's been. What we did and seen down there, the children's home is where you stay. It's an orphanage. The school is not there, but it literally is a compound. It's quite, and you'll see the pictures here to show it, but it's quite a nice place. Then a couple of blocks away, a short walk away, is the local Baptist church, which Mike he's not the pastor. He's obviously a member there and counsels the church, and it has a local pastor that runs it. There's also a school there of a couple of hundred kids, I believe. And we did a construction project there. We built a classroom. We did some electrical stuff. Where's Lee here tonight? Lee helped me out a lot on WhatsApp. Got a hold of Lee. We did some interesting electrical down there. But there are some construction projects. He always has a lot to do at the school and church, and also at the children's home. We did what's called a shanty home, and you'll see it. One of the things that we did there that was actually the other church had paid for it was to, believe it or not, you can buy someone a home down there for about $750, $800. It's their whole house. It's basically a 2-room chicken coop that's a prefab, and you put it together and you kind of roughly level up the ground. And you'll see, I think I have it on here, where they were living compared to what they were moving into. And when we did that shanty home, that the family, I think it was a wife and a husband. She was pregnant. She had 3 or 4 other kids. They were living in like a room, about 10 by 10 room was their entire household. And we built this shanty home for them. And really what came to mind too, to me, because they ended up coming to church, and I was talking to Pastor, I don't remember for sure, but I know for sure the wife, the prayed lady, got saved that following Sunday. And I just thought about, Pastor, since he's been here, he's talked about missions, and Pastor is always big at meeting people's needs where they need it, food, shelter, taking care of stuff like that. And we did this for this lady, and it brought her to Christ. So I just thought of it, or I remembered this verse, not verbatim, but the gist of it. In 1 John 3:17, it says, "But whoso hath this world's goods, and seeth his brother have a need, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him?" And when this lady saw the love of God through that action there, it drew them to church, and she was saved. And I believe there was another one in the household that was also saved. Mike Kennedy also, he is very influential. For though I know we've met him here before, but to see him for like a week straight, the guy, he just got, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, magnetism. I mean, he imposes his will on people in a good way to where they're happy to do it for him. And he has influence in the government, in the courts, the military bases. And we went on to I'm losing my spot here. Went on to a military base where we met. It was their top military, like their elite forces. He somehow had a contact. I had a contact. I had a contact, and we ended up. He basically just marched in a bunch of soldiers. I don't know, maybe what, 75, 80, 100 of them in there. And they sat in and just heard the gospel. And I think probably about 10 of them got saved there. He has influence with the government where they would go to. We went to a girls' home. It's kind of what it's like down there compared to here is you have poverty here, but usually people in poverty here, there's usually some sort of government program almost everywhere to take care of them. Down there are government programs, but you have literally, he rescues kids off the streets that are, I think he's told a story of you have a 5-year-old taking care of the 3-year-old, and they're literally running the streets, eating out of the garbage and stuff like that. So there's a, quote, children's home, and you'll have these, teenage mothers in there with their kids, and it's kind of this temporary situation, but really sad situation. But again, he's got influence with law enforcement in the prisons. We went to a boys' prison, a large prison. That's like what you would imagine an old prison looking like. And we went there and gave the gospel to, 1,000 people maybe, and again, prisoners getting saved. Went to what else? But in the boys' prison too as well. I mean, it was hard to imagine. They're explaining what that was like there, but again, just kept giving the gospel. As I was gonna say, you'll see just literally everywhere we went, dozens and dozens of people hear the gospel for 5-10 minutes and raise their hand for salvation. And I honestly started to almost get skeptical about it, because it's like, how can so many people be receptive to it? And the Lord brought these verses to my mind in the book of Acts. Acts 2:41, the Bible says, "Then they that gladly received his word were baptized, and the same day there were added unto them about 3,000 souls." And then again, a little further down in the chapter, Acts 2:47, it says, "Praising God and having favor with all men, and the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved." And then a little further down in Acts 5:14, "And believers were the more added to the Lord, multitudes both of men and women." And these are the verses that came to my mind in Peru. And the verse that talks about, I'll just read it, I got it here, John 4:35, and it says, "Say ye not, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest." These are the verses that came to my mind, and that's literally what Peru is like. So here, I mean, I hear people talking. You go door to door, and people either slam the door in your face or, politely declining. And I know there's a few that will answer, but down there, people are just wide open and ready for it. And Mike, he kind of explained it in a way. He said that they're a very religious country. Catholicism is very strong, but he says they don't have a good knowledge of it. Most of them are not in church. So when they hear the gospel, he has a tract that says in Spanish, "How to Know God." It's like the instruction book, How to Know God. And they take that, go, I want to know this. And they take it, receive it. And again, many, many people will get saved. So when you do that, when you get down there, you're going to see people saved. It's going to take, if you have a fear of passing out tracts or a fear of talking to people, you definitely get just thrown into the fire down there, don't you, right? Passing out tracts, and you'll see that in the marketplace video here. But people are definitely ready to hear the gospel down there for sure. Let's see here, almost done. There was a little bit of recreation down there as well. I know Harry and Julie's family like archaeology, and there's a ancient, I think it's Inca or Aztecs ruins down there that we went and seen. You literally just get in a vehicle and drive up to it. If it was in the States, you'd probably have to pay a bunch of money to go to it. And there you just walk up and run all over these ruins. But you'll see some pictures of that. That was really cool. The massive city of Lima, just to see a city that large. And again, the downtown is as nice as you can imagine any downtown in America. But once you get out in the outskirts, and the one place, the whole area was shanty homes. I believe it was around 7 or 8 million people living in just the fields of shanty homes. So there's quite a difference in Peru between the downtown wealth and the outskirts of the city. Let's see. Oh, shopping down there. If you like to shop, and I know most people do. I remember some of the stuff we were doing down there. I'm thinking, why are we doing this? But Mike Kennedy has been bringing groups down there for a long time. And what he has done, because there's going to be some cost that the pastor's going to talk about to go on this trip. And I think what he does so well is he incorporates the bulk of his trip is not doing construction and kind of the grunt work like people did in Honduras. It's more about ministry and gospel messaging. And then he mixes in this kind of fun time mixed in with it, because you can do a lot of traveling. You're going to be in a bus driving to these different areas to go and witness and do these different things. And then he throws in this stuff. But the shopping is really cool. I mean, you can really get good deals. And I bought some things down there that was neat. Believe it or not, ice cream shop down there was kind of I think we hit that 2 or 3 times. Great restaurants, believe it or not. At the children's home, they have a game room, a ping pong room. At the facility, again, is really nice. So there's a nice spot to go. You know, you're near the equator, so it's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is when the sun's going up and down. So after 6, it's dark, and we made use of the game room. They got a mascot around there named Spike. You'll see a picture of Spike here. He was fun to watch. My favorite memories of it was the marketplace. And the reason being is I got to watch Alicia down there and just boldly just handing out track after track. And we gave out, what, 10,000 tracts and Bibles in a couple of hours. But it's a really neat place. And again, to have, I mean, you've seen it here. You hand out a track and it's in the dirt, okay? You didn't hardly, I mean, of all these tracks, you didn't see I don't think I've seen one thrown down. And people are grateful for anything you do for them, grateful for you taking the time to give them the gospel. So it's really a neat thing to do, and it helps. If you have a fear of talking to people and passing out tracts, this is the way to break that fear. The other good thing is just the kids down there. You know, your heart will be broke when you got to leave. They have great needs, and what Mike does, most of these kids you'll see are a lot of them there's siblings down there. So why he does that is because they do have adoptions in Peru where they'll take kids that are on the street and they eventually get in the house. But what they'll do is they'll split brothers and sisters. So because he has these contacts, will make sure that he gets, whenever there's like kids siblings, he'll get them all together and he'll bring them to his home because he doesn't want them separated. And then he works with adoption agencies in other countries, and he hopes to get them in America mostly. But I'll let him talk more about that when he comes, I think in a couple of months here. But these are kids that have been pulled off the street. And again, many of them are siblings. This was a birthday party that we did. He said that they don't do a lot for the kids. I mean, they do a lot, but they don't get this kind of stuff. So our junior church and then this church, also the general fund, helped to buy and put on a birthday party for these kids. So it was a great time. And because they all got Nerf guns. I forget what the girls got, but what's that? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can start that. You can go and start it. So these are some of the kids here. This is Gabby. That's Abel. A lot of sads. This kid here was trying to get adopted. He didn't know it, but just some red tape trying to get adopted. And once they turn 16 and a half, they cannot be adopted. So this might be a video here. It's not. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to stop. Let's play this for a few minutes, and then I got a couple more comments towards the end about the cost and that. So.
Dígale. Tú tienes un amigo que te fuerte. Su nombre es Jesús. Su nombre es Jesús. Ya un aplauso para el Señor Jesucristo.
That was just going to a neighborhood, and he rallied that group together in about 5 minutes to sing and preach and give them some stuff. This is the view of the compound. If you look down below, That's the courtyard and the play area. And that's what the terrain looks like. This is the family that the house was built for. That's their little house there, the $800 house behind them, jammed in between other buildings. This is the school. These are more kids hoping to be adopted there. Again, that's the classrooms at the school. This boy is autistic. He'll probably be a permanent member of the location there. Sebastian here, I believe, right, Alicia? That's Miss Peggy, and that's the grandmother there, nicest lady. That's Piero there. He was the main character down there, one of the main ones. Piero in the middle.
And this is the school also, and someone's giving them all these tours. And once again, the 100 of them are for the kids to play with.
This is that other location. That's that shanty area where the 7 million people were at. This is another teeny little Baptist church that was at that location. And this was really the kind of dirtiest, poorest, most depressed area there for sure. And at the bottom of that hill, you can't hardly tell, that's the Pacific Ocean down there. Yeah. Those were two brothers there, Nicholas and Piero, that last clip. That's the Baptist church and school there, and that's what's behind it. The gates are all around everything, but that's the school and church. This is those ruins. I just had to throw one picture myself so I could prove I was there. Again, more pictures of the courtyard, some of the food there. This is where that singing was going on. This was the first day we were there. And the views outside of the window. This is that marketplace outside. This is their Baptist church. This is the inside of all those gates you were looking at. These buildings were donated by an American to them. This is the view out my bedroom window. The game room. There's Brother Mike.
I'll show you where Pedro used to live before this shanty. Okay. Bueno, it's okay. Okay. And this is where they used to all live. And this seis todos. Sí, sí. And this is it. All 6 of them right here.
I'll cover it for you guys. You
We're living here before we were able to help them get a hold of this place. So
we'll do the same thing.
And again, that's the new house there. So play putt-putt at the children's home. That was that lady's, it still is her kitchen. There's Spike.
Baba de Pedro,
The military base. This guy was a Christian. He was very pleased that we were there spreading the gospel. It's the thing you see when you first walk in. This is that children's home that for destitute kids who just kind of come off the street. We named that girl Dora, the Explorer. All right, go ahead, Pastor.
turn this on again, if you would, Josh. That's yeah. The one on my head. That one. Testing? Nope. Let me see if maybe I turn myself off. Testing, testing. Testing. There we go. A little loud. That last place there was actually a place for just young ladies only, and many of them were abused young teenage girls that have been taken advantage of, that were living on the streets or in their homes or whatever else. And they only let a select group of people go in there. We took them I believe it was a birthday cake that we took in there, and some gifts. Some of them had infants they just had, and all of them had been pretty much rejected by their family or society or whatever, and many of them in tears. My wife got to share the gospel with them, and I think we saw 3 or 4, I don't know, some young ladies get saved there. But anyway, I'm not going to spend a lot of time as far as I do want to share just it's interesting as I was talking to Brother Chris and the verses that he shared, because it's the same thing the Lord had laid on my heart, that verse. Look in your Bibles, if you will, and I'm not going to be long right here. I'll go in the cost here in a second, but just to reemphasize a great point that Brother Chris already made, look in 1 John chapter 3. 1 John chapter 3. 1 John chapter 3, and look in verse 16. I'll just read these 3 or 4 verses here and talk a little bit about it, and then I'll move on. But it says, hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. And that's something that Brother Brian had spoke about here just when he was here last week. And really, you know, when we go take a trip like this, there are some risks involved when you do something like that. Some of you have never been on a plane, and maybe you're afraid to fly. Are you willing to make that sacrifice so you can have an impact in a different way for the Lord Jesus Christ? Or maybe the financial, there's an impact there. If you do this, that might mean you might not get to go on some other trip or something you've been wanting to do or saving up for. There's a cost associated with these trips. But he said in verse 17, but whoso hath this world's good and seeth his brother have need and shutteth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him? Now he says, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion. A lot of times we think of it maybe from a financial standpoint, or we think about it from a physical or a fear or those kind of things. And what he's talking about here is just open up me in compassion and let love compel us to take action. Like when the Lord went to the cross, he physically did not want to do that, but his compassion and, of course, doing the will of the Father is what drove him to that cross to make the sacrifice for us. So it's a life that we set aside for maybe a time period. It's a sacrifice that we make, and it's a purposeful sacrifice the Bible talks about here by seeing these needs and then doing something to meet these needs. And then verse 17, this compassion talks about, and listen, God desires for us to have a heart that is sensitive. If you can listen to the missionaries come here, and you can watch the videos and see the need, and it doesn't do something to your heart, then something's wrong with our Christian walk. I'll just say it as easy as that. Now, I'm not saying if you don't go on this trip, there's something wrong with you. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying if it doesn't move you to desire to do something, there's something wrong with our heart. If we don't have a desire to reach people, not just, and listen, we ought to have a desire here, but without sounding mean, if you don't have a desire here, you probably won't have a desire there. It's as simple as that. If you have a heart to reach people here, you probably have a heart to reach people there as well. And he says, my little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. And that deed is an action. It's a committed action. It's a specific action. It's an action where we're doing something. We're taking a step or taking a stand or reaching out or giving or something. And that's what these verses, what John is alluding to here in this chapter about doing something. And this mission trip is just another opportunity to do something. I will say this, whether you're old or young, if you've never been on a mission trip, I can say this. I've never had anyone, not me, and I don't know how many folks I've gone on mission trips with over the years. It's probably approaching, I don't know, maybe 300 or 400, maybe more, I don't know. But I've never had anyone tell me that after it was done, they wish they had not have gone. That God didn't do something to work in their heart when it was all said and done, and something in a very real and serious way. I've never had anyone say that to me. I've had folks that thought, I teased Brother Dave about this before, saying I'll pray about it. And I said, well, if God tells you no, I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear the story of how God said, no, don't do that. But listen, pray about what God would have you to do. And Brother Brian made a great point there tonight. And a couple folks have already stepped forward and offered in this way, which is wonderful. In other words, they can't go, but they're going to help someone else to go, or maybe even help cover the cost, or maybe to build a shanty while we're there. Like you said, I'd love to see us build at least 2 of those shanties, and they're about $800 a piece. If we want to put a concrete floor in there, we're looking at a couple of $100 on top of that. And normally they'll come in and do that afterwards. We'll build the shanty, someone else come in, or we can even do the pour ourselves. But anyway, those are just some things to think about as you're praying about this trip. And I will tell you this, if your heart's desire is to go, then just commit to go. And God will take care of the rest. God will take care of the time, the finances, the work, all of those kind of things. If he's leading you to go, then just say yes. And I promise you, he'll take care of that need in one way or another. You just commit to go. Speaking of the finance, well, I just want to hear some things, and I'll just say this, and it's not really part of a message, but he was mentioning some of the things that we got to do, and this is in no order, but that military base there, that was Special Forces. And I got to rappel off of this. How high was that? I don't know. 900,000 feet high, right? He said 80, 880, somewhere in there. But to rappel off of that, and now that was neat. That was fun. But the reason they allowed us to do that, they were going through training. I mean, in America, that would never happen. They say, get lost. I mean, they don't have time for us. And they're worried about insurance and all kinds of things. Man, they moved up that ladder, and I'm thinking, you're just going to let me go? Strap in and go, man. And so anyway, I got to do some things like that. And the reason they allowed, and they were so happy because they were just happy that we were there to share the gospel with them. I think we brought some sodas for them. I don't remember what other treats we brought. It didn't seem like a very big deal to me. But when we went in there and they brought in the higher ranking officers and different folks from the military that had been in the military or in the military got up and just gave a testimony. And afterwards, many hands went up saying they accepted Christ as their Savior. Why? Because we took a step and did something there. We went out into the market, into the streets, and passed out tracts and saw people come up to us and ask for tracts. I had a young lady that came up to us when she was in Venezuela, and through Brother Mike, got to witness to her. I don't know if I sent the video here or not, but that young lady, as she is, she is FaceTiming with her mom or something along the line, Skyping or something, and she held the phone aside, and her mom watched as she bowed her head and accepted Christ. And this young lady was just moved. She was just bawling, crying afterwards, and that was just a neat thing to watch. The shanties, the place that Brother Chris said were the shanties, I don't want to correct him, but that wasn't the shanties. The shanties are nowhere near that nice. The shanties are just wooden structures, plastic, any kind of trash they can find to build homes from, or tore down homes they'll live in. If you couldn't see the shanty we built there, but it was all torn down homes, and we spent an hour probably at least clearing out an area just so we could get the wood up in there of trash and brick and rubble and just all kinds of things. And they found this little nook, and they what they do, they don't buy these places. They homestead or squat, I guess if you can say it that way. They just find a place that someone will allow them. Each area kind of has a mayor, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. You didn't get to see the picture there, but we got to lead that mayor to Christ, and that was just a wonderful thing. In that area, we saw all those kids, and they were singing that song. That was part of the shanties. And just by walking around there for a few minutes with some bags of candy, we had to it couldn't fit enough people in there. That was definitely a fire hazard, I'm sure, but I don't know how they're going to start a fire because it's all dirt. But anyway, I don't know, those few hundred people crammed in that little area right there and around us, and we handed out John and Romans, happy to get them, and a little couple pieces of candy, and again, shared the gospel there, and saw many, many get saved just from sharing our testimonies. And that's what Brother Mike will do. Say, hey, come on up and just share your testimony. And you don't have to say much. Some people spoke for, a minute, and some very nervously spoke, and then Brother Mike would interpret. Some folks might have, he was like, okay, Brother Chris, step aside now. He wanted to preach, going on for like an hour and a half. No, I'm just kidding. But so you'll get those opportunities to do those things. And then, let's see, I mentioned the ladies' holding place, the detention center. These are all teenagers. When we mentioned the prison, these were all teenage young boys. I mean, some as young as 12 and 13 years old. You could tell they're scared to death to be there, but we brought them some soccer balls. We brought them some soda. I think some, I don't know, it's cupcakes or some cookies or something like that. Oh, cookies. And they were just thrilled to get those things. And then each one of us in a different block, if you will. Each block, boy, I don't know, 300 teens or so in each block or around that number. And we know where it came close to reaching all the blocks, but we'd share the gospel, different one in each one of those blocks, and just saw a number of hands go up of young men. And most of them come from a Catholic background. And so they know about God, they know about Jesus, they know they're supposed to go to church, they know they're supposed to do good, and they've been taught they have to, be good and work their way to heaven. And that's really the basics of the gospel that they know. They don't really, I say gospel, that's the name of the gospel, that's all they know of church and religion and God. So we're able to go in there and show them from the Bible how a person can know for sure they're going to heaven, how they can know for sure they have a personal walk and a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. And that's why they're so eager for the truth. Preach in church services, got to do that. In the shanties, we got to preach and see, again, folks get saved there. We didn't get to mention this, but we went to a school in town, and we had spent all morning making fried rice and chopping up the vegetables. And then when I say making fried rice, I don't even know how many pounds of rice we went through. You had a crew of maybe 20 people for about 6 hours cutting things up. So that tells you how much fried rice we made. Onions and carrots and, all of those kind of things. And then we took that to these kids, and they were so thrilled to get it because in this Catholic school, and here's another thing, it was so crazy, they're allowing us into a Catholic school to give the gospel. So we go into a Catholic school, and we had the great big containers, I don't know how many, I think 3 or 4 of these great big containers of rice, fried rice, and we serve them fried rice and some soda, because their normal lunch is a roll and water. And it's a bag of water and a roll. That's their normal lunch. So they were thrilled to death to have a hot meal, fried rice, and some soda and some cookies. Shared the gospel there, and a number of those young children got saved as well. And then let's see here. What else did I have? Anyway, just there is so much to do there. There are some great. We went to this outdoor mall. Ladies, if you'd like to shop, that would, or guys too. It was nicer than any place I've probably ever seen. In these stores, I couldn't pronounce anything. I probably couldn't afford anything either, but it was nice. And we had a meal there. That's a great burger I had there. They have good burgers in Peru as well. And so we did some of that. And so you get to see some neat things in the city as well. We went down to the ocean, not going to overlook the ocean. We went to those ruins. We just took a drive one day. And again, you could fill your pocket with artifacts if you desire to. To do that, it was just wide open. And some of these places that are thousands of years old. That was kind of neat. So anyway, any questions about the trip? And those are the kind of things that we will be doing on the trip. There's work, there's construction to be done there. We talked last time we were there about he has a desire to build some more dorms. Every year he has workers that will come there and stay for a month, 3 months, 4 months, as they're just figuring out what the next step, or maybe they want to just be missionaries to Peru, and they'll go there and work along with Miss Peggy and with the kitchen staff and those kind of things. So he wants to build some more dorms like that so more young people can come there and he can invest some time with them as well. Any questions about what? Yes, sir.
How long is the trip?
It's going to be altogether about 8 days. I think we'll be 7 days in country, I believe is what it ends up being. So it's Monday, the 17th, right, to the following Monday or Tuesday. So we'll look at ticket prices to see anywhere from Sunday, to Monday or Tuesday, and just kind of see the best price that we can get there. Other questions? No more questions? Customs. I only saw 12 people get strip searched, so no, I'm just kidding. No, it was fine. It was no problem at all. You get your passport. It's just like really in America. It was no better, worse. It was pretty straightforward. Yeah, no problem at all. Yes, ma'am.
Are vaccines required?
No, they'll never ask you. it might be wise to have something, but that's up to you, what you do as far as that goes. But I've been given every vaccine that's known to mankind. So growing up as a kid, living in foreign countries, and then being in the military and all those kind of things. So that's one thing I don't think about too much. But no, there's no requirement for vaccines. And like in Zambia, you worry about not yellow fever, but mosquitoes, malaria, and you don't worry about those. There's no mosquitoes there because they die. There's no water there. So his water comes way off the mountain. And that's when I go with the prices. That's one reason why this place is, once you get in country, a little pricier. Really, it all works out. But anyway, because they used to have to ship the water in. So, Dave?
What time do you go to put to bed or get up?
Well, the day is done normally shortly after dinner. I mean, there's not much going on because it gets nighttime. So if you want to go to bed then, you could. But we stay up and play cards or ping pong or, those kind of things. So whatever you want to do. Fox News? Probably not going to do that. Yeah. You can watch a Fox, maybe. No. Yes.
Just a couple more things. Hello. Just a couple more things I want to say very fast. And you can actually sponsor the New Life's Christian home. I know there's a lot of people that you see the Feed the Children kind of thing on TV. This is secure. It goes to a place in Texas, and then he gets direct electronic funds to him. And when the pastor said, not everyone can go, but aside from if you can't go, you want to help someone else go, great. But when I left there, I mean, honestly, my heart was broke for the kids, and to see because he had about 20 kids there, but he had a building that would hold 35. And because of lack of funds, he couldn't put more kids in the home. So if not just for yourself, but there's a lot of non-Christian, secular, other religion people that if you tell them this is a way to take care of orphans in Peru, please, be an advocate for that. And I told them I would, and I came home and we're doing this just because I feel it's that kind of a place that they're worth the money and they're doing the right thing down there. And then also if you want to help, a lot of my biggest regret was just that we didn't take things on the trip to give to them. And it was a scout trip, and I know that's why we didn't do it. But that other church that came, Brother Brian that was here, they're a very strong missions church as well. As you can tell, he's going to the mission field, but he got his whole church. I mean, it's a church-wide event, like a mission of theirs. And they literally take the largest carry-on bags you could ever, I've never seen them so big. And each person that was going was taking 2 of these bags and chuck full, and they have a system of how they pack things to get, because there's certain supplies that they cannot get in Peru that come from America that are either not existent down there or they're super expensive. I asked him about shipping stuff as well. He's got his junky cell phone that you can't communicate with them on. I'm like, I'll send you an old Apple phone. He's like, don't bother because nothing gets there. So you can't ship stuff either. So this is a way to ship supplies to Peru with your plane ticket. So see Jenny, she's been communicating with the lady from Tennessee and then also with Mike Kennedy's wife to get a list of things. And it's really simple stuff. But if you want to help, again, like Pastor said, we can all do something. So it'd be great if we could do that as a church to get as much as we can to help these guys out. So.
Any questions for the trip and what's going on and what you might do on that trip? Yes, sir.
As you speak of witnessing so much and talking to people, primarily, somebody like Chris, somebody who can't speak Spanish.
You do it with an interpreter. They have, like I said, there's probably, when we're there'll probably be 4 or 5 girls that are there working like on a summer staff or whatever else. Most of them are pretty fluent in Spanish. He can also bring some of his children, his wife, himself. There's folks, the security staff that works, the bus drivers, those kind of things that will interpret for you, and they do a very good job. And they pretty much just tell them what, they'll say what you say. So, yes, sir.
What are the licenses for
70s to 60s, 60s and 70s. Nice weather. And, yes, ma'am.
Sports gear?
Yes.
For children and adults?
Yes, you always want to be safe when you go out of country. It's not like Canada. You can go over there with a passport or whatever, but yeah, over there.
Baggage shipped by, take it with them plane.
Yes. Yeah, just like any other plane flight. Yep. Anyone else? Any questions about the trip? The cost, once you get in country, is about $580. I say in country, that's what it'll cost you above and beyond your plane ticket. So that's going to, I told Brother Mike, what I'll try and do is just make it about $525, and we'll, as the church, offset your cost for that if you can't afford the $580. And so right now, if you paid roughly, let's just say, and these are rough figures because we don't know for sure what it's going to cost, but if you're going to pay $525 for being in country and then $350 to get there, what's that, $875 is about what you're looking at. And listen, that won't even cover a cost of your plane ticket to go to Zambia. That's going $1,500–1,600. So the breakdown of that, you say, why so expensive in country? It's not like going to Brother Ronnie's. Okay, Brother Ronnie's has got a 1973 Ford bus, that's got 3 tires that work right, whatever, and but anyway, it's not like that. You're riding on a custom, like a touring bus, and they have to. They're not allowed to get a school bus and transport you around. To do that. That's not something he's illegally allowed to do. So he has to do what Peru says he has to do. When he goes to the airport, the bus driver, the company's charged him about $350 above and beyond the gas cost. The cost for a bus is about $600 a day. What you saw there, if you kind of remember the mountainous look that's there, that's the village we're in. There's things we can do there, but there's not a whole lot. All of these things that we told you about, we took a bus ride to go do that. Now, we weren't on a bus for hours and hours, anything like that, but you had to take a bus drive to get there. This man that drives us, his family, they're Christians, and they give us a great rate, but it's still very expensive. So transportation runs about $275. We're going to work on that. If we can get, these prices I'm going to tell you, is if we can get about 35 to 40 people going. Less people is going to cost more. So if we can get a good group going and encourage other folks to go along with you if you desire to go, and that makes the price go down, because now, when you're paying $600 for a bus, it's split amongst 35 people instead of, 10 or 15. The food there is $225, and that's for a week, and that's per person. And you say, well, why so? Well, there's nothing growing right there. It's all dirt. There's not a lot of cattle there because they don't have anything to eat. So they got to bring all that food in. They've even got to bring water in, where he is way, way out there in the mountains of Peru. So $225. But for that, you're going to eat 3 meals a day, and you're going to eat very well. They have a lady, several ladies there that are chefs. I would pay for this food that we are paying for, but it's very, very good. Even the things that you look and think, that looks a little odd, you taste, you're like, wow, but it tastes really good. Very clean. Again, it's not like going out to Honduras to Brother Ronnie's, where you're eating soup, and you knew it was something you had last week, but now it's in the soup form. And it's more than just rice and corn and beans. And again, listen, I enjoy going to Brother Ronnie's. I'm not knocking Brother Ronnie's. He's in a whole nother world. Okay. It's not, I'm just trying to, with those that went there, it's not like that. So it's very, very different. Accommodations, we pay $20 a night. You're going to stay in a very clean room with like a tile floor, no air condition, but you'll have a fan, and bunk beds there. Depends on who you're staying with. My wife and I stayed in, a room with bunk beds, just the 2 of us. But anyway, let's see. There's shower, 2 different bathrooms, thankfully. But there's one that's for girls, and it's got I don't know how many showers are in there because I didn't go in there. But 2 showers in there. The guys we had 3 or 4. Oh no, 2 showers and 2 toilets. That's what it was. Anyway, but you have your own private, and they have curtains on them. It's not like the military showers, whatever, for those of us that did that. But anyway, and they'll clean your room each night. You can do laundry there. We just would give the lady some not kwacha. What's it called? Soleils. Soleils to do laundry there for you, and they're happy to do that kind of stuff for you if they can. And then another $25, which helps to pay for the cleaning, the water. They've got, like I said, they got to pump all the water in. The electricity is very expensive out there, so we don't want Brother Kennedy to absorb that cost. And here's the neat thing, though. He said, listen, if someone can't go, I want him to be here. I won't charge him anything. You know, he's got that kind of heart to him. But this is a missionary, so I don't want to do that. I don't want him to absorb any cost. So anyway, that's how the cost breaks down. So if you can pay $525, again, is with the church offsetting some of your cost. If you can, what he charged last time we went, because there's a little smaller group, was $665. So it's a big difference, big savings there. But anyway, questions?
I'm assuming that the plane cost, that's a round trip.
Yes.
I assume that.
Yep. Yeah, ticket prices are a lot cheaper right now, so praise the Lord.
And then spending money, what would you suggest for us if you want to do?
We ate out once, was a couple times for ice cream, twice, 2 times an ice cream couple. Yeah, if a couple is going $300 would be, I mean, that's for shopping and stuff. That's you don't need that. I mean, if you're talking about the basic you needed to get by, $50 would be more than enough. And we ate one place we went to. Boy, is a beautiful place, and it wasn't very costly. And they had almost like going to a Sam's Club, but they had a brick ovens with rotisserie chickens in them, and we all had a great big table with all kinds of stuff to put on your chicken and stuff. That was incredible. Really, really good. Brother Mike took us there one night. That was great. But yes, Miss Julie.
Do they do credit cards?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
I was just curious, is there a tax for when you leave and fly out?
I don't believe there was. No. Anything else? Any questions about the trip? Okay, now I'm just curious. How many of you here are very interested in going on this trip? I just want to get a show of hands. Can I start over here? So, are you going to be here? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. Any 15? Any more back here that I haven't counted? 15. Put your hands up nice and tall, if you will. 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, about 25 people is about what I'm seeing right now. So there's some more folks. This isn't the whole church crowd, so we can get another 10. That'd be really good. So twist some arms, do whatever you got to do. If you want to get these prices down a little bit more, that would be very helpful. And if someone needs some help, like I said, I would like to buy the first round of tickets. And you don't have to buy right now. But if you're for sure going to go and you say, Pastor, I want to buy that ticket, then we'll go ahead and buy the ticket for you. You can pay us back. But understand, if you don't go, you are still liable to pay for the ticket. You still have to pay for it, okay? And maybe someone else can take your place or whatever else, but you're still responsible for that ticket if we buy it. And there's usually, if someone else is going to take your place so you don't lose all your money, it's usually $100 to change tickets if they'll allow us to do that. If not, then you just eat that money. So, but there is, I will say this along those lines, there is something called travel insurance that if you, I think it's about $75. And if you'll do that, it'll take care of you in country. So if I can give you those information later on if you're serious about wanting that. I never purchased it until I went to Israel. They made us do it for that, and now it's good for a year. But they'll life flight you. If you get taken by guerrillas or something like that, they'll pay to get you out. I mean, it's a lot of money. They don't anticipate those things happening. That's why they do that. But anyway, there is insurance that will help you out if you want to go that route. So, any questions, concerns, comments, anything like that? Nothing? Yes.
Are there gorillas?
Not the kind that you see in a zoo, but there might. I don't know. It is a pretty quiet area. There was one bombing while we're there, but although we were in the vicinity, it was someone that Yeah, some government building, something like that. So just an orphanage. I'm just kidding. Yes. June. Well, the final date would be June 22nd or 3rd. I mean, but that ticket might be a little more expensive. But what I want to try and do is when this first round of tickets is get a time when we can fly in there. So if people want to come later, it's when a lot of planes are coming, those kind of things, if possible. So for the first round here, I need to know by, what the end of the first week in February. And then so everyone that I have that's for sure going signed up, then I'll get your information from you. We'll call and buy all those tickets together in one group. So now, one thing I forgot to ask, did you check, did Canada Air, normally for international travel, they give you 2 bags? Did you find out?
Yeah, I think they give, come on, Sam. Hello. They give like 2 bags.
You're fired, Josh.
Yeah. No, it's probably, you could take 2 bags and a carry-on. Air Canada is like one of the more generous ones. You don't have to pay for that either, so.
50 pounds normally is.
Yeah,
So. And that's what we'll do. We'll take 1 bag for our own stuff and then 1 bag full of whatever.
That big bag.
Those are not the carry-ons, those are the put them down below, what do you call that?
Check bags.
Check bags.
2 check bags and 1 carry-on.
So, I mean, we can check with Air Canada. They flew Delta and brought those, but is there restrictions? I think there's weight restrictions, but not size restrictions, right? Correct? Size, whatever. But yeah, they were taking large carry-on or large luggage to put down below to carry supplies. So,
Shaggy?
Is there
A lot of walking.
long distance?
No, there wasn't. We walked in the streets a little